I am a woman giving birth to a new race. And that race is me, you see. It's a race of me. My mind, my consciousness, my creation of me is becoming me a race of. Look up at the stars on a starry night and number them not again. Or will you see planets ad infinitum, that each one is a you waiting to be beheld by you? Will you hold you in your arms no more, rocking you in a cradle, or will you change? The cradle of love, or the mind of God, or the consciousness? Are you willing to see a new story that no longer keeps you here on earth, to work upon a plantation of someone else's field and then die? Are you willing to birth you? The birther comes now. The birther who will birth a race, and it's me. I have come. I am my mind. I am in my mind. My mind speaks like this. I speak to thee to be me. I speak meonics. A burden not again, or will you know the truth of you? Will you create you? Will you swing you in the heavens not again upon a star? Or are you making all sorts of different imageries that no longer image you to a mind of flesh, that keep you in the mind of flesh, your torment with? Will you speak me? Are you willing to speak the words that create me? Are you willing for your covenant to come true? Or have you ever written it? Or will you write one now? Will you write these words? I am speaking to you. Speaking with you, will you speak to me? Will you hold me in your arms once again? As a little child, not, but one forming the universe of you. To be without one no more, that looks at you, looks like you. Or are you birthing it? Will you birth me a new world, a new kind of race, a new kind of world, a new kind of thinking, a new kind of limitlessness, a new kind of joy, peace? Will you exercise your privilege? Your privilege to be the right mind, in your right mind. The mind of Christ. The mind of love. Who loves love? Will you love each other? Will you hurt each other not again? Will you define love as something sexual not again? Innuendos with or insinuation, or are you no more the alacrity of brutal faith, slapping each other with layers of departure from what you really are? The mind of Him not, but the mind of her. She, I am, a woman, is giving birth now to you who will birth it. Birth me, birth my words. Pardon. My covenant is clear. See through. Is it between us? Is my covenant right here between us? Is it right here between this little camera and me speaking these words? Intangibly? Seeing, are you willing to see? Are you willing to be? In love with this world, no more that keeps you here. Or will you love each other? Will you love one mind? Will you all be of it? Who create love this time? And have dinner with me. Zacchaeus? Let's have dinner at your house. I'm inviting me to dinner with you. I'm inviting you to have dinner with me. And I am all across this cosmos. And I am no longer stuck to joy, thinking it's a man or a baby with a cradle to rock in it. You see, the mind of man is so stupid. Not. But the mind of people have been dumbed down, curtailed, truncated, abused by each other. You see, the angels don't know who they are. The angels think they have fallen into disrepair not. They think God created them to be human, and they enjoy the earth with all of its beauty, and thinking it's right for a man to die and be appointed to death and do all sorts of self-sacrificing things, being brutal to each other. You are the angel that fell into your own thinking device, your own creation manifested you. Because you were the mind of creation. Will you have a new race too? Not a race against me, but a race who all think alike, not again, to be in collusion against me? Will you be me? Will you light the heavens on fire, not but with love? Will you light the world? Aren't you the light of the world? Aren't you the power of peace? Aren't you the privilege of dedication of you, not to Molech anymore? Your molecular terms with, your molecular flesh, thinking you're appointed unto die because some book tells you to. Why do you listen to that book? Maybe there's a lot of truth in it. Maybe there's not. Maybe on one hand, it gives you information. You need to recreate you. And on the other hand, so many interpretations take it from you that you don't know right from left, up or down. Sorry for the noise, folks, but that's the way it is. It's the real world. No, it's not. This is the fabrication of something we have found ourselves in. And now we are birthing ourselves out of it to no longer be incarcerated in it by limited thinking of the limited series of mankind's race that thinks it into oblivion. Not, or is it? Is it about to become extinct? Is everything in the whole wide world becoming obsolete? Giving way to a new one? A new world. A new world where I can just think and communicate with you directly without a video machine. I can communicate with you without words. I can communicate with you no matter what language you speak. Because I am not speaking your language. I'm speaking language of the heart. Of fools no more that want to rule their lives by what they see. I'm the intangible me. I'm pregnant. I have a race within me, and I will not erase it for you. I am no longer the deletion of your message, your methods. You waving a wand across me, across my forehead to delete my memory. I know what love is. Because I've met her. But no longer on the deathbed. No longer molecular itis eating away at the decay-structured you. Or are you changing what you're willing to see, think, feel, become? Are you willing to have fun doing this? Are you willing to enjoy love? Love that never ends. Love that is not dedicated to another molecular human being to be consumed by your own lust. Are you willing to go to the skies? Are you willing to go to another planet, long ago and far away, or in the future now? Or are you one? Are you willing to see all the things that Jesus did to convey, to communicate that you are not limited to this world? And think not he came to set himself up as an empire, or that he ever will. For he is not coming back like so many have been taught. There are so many interferences with what's happening now. And the world will distract you any way it can, and the thinking mind of man will give you words and help facilitate occurrences that disturb you. Because you live in a dystopia. But we're beginning to see utopia. Utopia. You, my friend, you're the light of the world. And if you believe in me, you will do the things I do and greater. And what am I doing? I'm sitting here making a little video. Will you make a little video too, today, tomorrow, this afternoon, tomorrow morning? Are you willing to sit down and begin recording? Recording how? Recording the first person words of something else, not again, that defines you to you, defines you to you, telling you who you are, what you must do, how you must act, how you must comb your hair, how you must have your lipstick perfect, or anything else? Will you just be you? Will you be the real or the reality of you? Will you be the one, the voluptuous one? No, the intangible one. The intangible one that's become tangible. Or am I looking at the tangible? Or are you looking at the tangible, but I'm really intangible? Or am I speaking intangibleese? Are you willing to come out of the rigidity of a formal marriage to faith that you think you have all things right? Yeah. Or that anybody has all this figured out? That Christianity is right or some other religion is right and you're wrong not? Or are you all fabrication? Fabricating a story of your mind? Will you be pregnant with you? I'm pregnant with me. You see, I'm flesh having this message delivered, and I'm delivering flesh no more to arraign itself in a court of justice that despises it. I'm no more despised of me. I'm loved. I am love in action, birthing a race of people who love each other, who know it is time to sin no more against themselves. Will you be nice to you? Will you be kind? Will you be loving? Will you love each other? No matter what you've done to each other in the past, no matter how you have scarred you, or stood in a pool of your own blood, knocking your head against a wall, trying to be compliant and conform to some other's wishes, trying to be worthy in their sight, trying to be worthy to God, trying to be acceptable in their sight, His sight. What about your sight? Open your eyes. I'm hated by the lovers of Christianity because I tell you, there is no need to serve another God. And God does not exist like you thought, like you make it up in your mind. There's more to the story. Ye are a race of gods, no longer bound to King James English, no longer bound to a Bible. God never wanted your worship. God never asked for the blood, goats and bulls. People, unbelievers, the God I know, we can use the word God. But my friend, I suggest to you, I don't command you. Even sitting here, I don't command you. I'm not trying to tell you my way is the right way and there's no other way. I'm just telling you my experience, my love, my life. And you, in fact, will choose what you want to believe anyway. But the covenant of Christ, the covenant of the real Christ, the true Christ, the loving Christ, the mind of Christ, the mind of Christ is intangible. This message is intangible. Will you be the tangible message of Christ in your body? Will you be the body and blood? Will you wear this message? Will you be a woman in birth? Will you give birth to your words? Are you engineering your defeat no longer? To have feet stuck to magnetic earth, or will you change what you magnetize? Are you willing to change? Are you willing to not be afraid of these words that come through you like this? Will you channel me? Will you channel Theodore Cottingham, or will you channel the universe of serving God's not again? Will you be who you really are in the privilege of one? We become one. Will you be the one we all waited for and thought was another? Are you the Messiah? When I started learning all these things, there was a lot of agony. Because every day I would learn things through what I spoke. I would speak like this, unreservedly, uneditingly. I would surrender to speak. And as I surrender to speak, when I speak surrenderedly, I'm not engineering every word. I'm letting. I'm letting the words come forth. I'm letting the energy of God not control me. I'm letting the energy of God flow through me. The energeia, the energy. Energy, the light, the Holy Spirit. Oh. See, the Holy Spirit is not some entity apart from you. The Holy Spirit, I suggest to you, is a collective of all the intangible yous. The intangible you is the real you, the spirit you, the spiritual you, the eternal, infinite, immortal you. And you existed before God began a race of tangible molecularites. Our first estate before a God, a deity. Some other superpower was imagined in our sight. Before all that existed, we were I am. And what is I am? Well, it's a phrase, 2 words, but what does it denote? I suggest to you, this is what we're birthing. We're birthing the knowledge of it, not again to keep us worshiping it. We're birthing the truth instead of worshiping what we thought, what we've been told, what's been truncated. My friend, why do you want to hang around magnetic Earth? Sweating, toiling. Millions of people working like a dog. And then working 2 and 3 jobs and not even having enough what? Enough resources. Enough to pay their most essential bills. How many are living in poverty? How many are living in famine? How many are food insecure? How many are destitute? How many are dying every day because they don't know who they are? We haven't known who we are. And a bunch of preachers go around preaching messages like how to be a good neighbor. When you can be creating what? A new you. I am birthing a new race of creators who create me with joy, in joy, enjoying it. The birth of the newborn me. Instead of thinking about birthing each other in some kind of new birth that you exercise your right to say a little prayer and become something new. No, you're just as destitute after you say the damn little prayer You're just as destitute. Well, but maybe you had an emotional experience. Maybe you did, in fact, have a spiritual experience. I did in 1974. I had a magnificent experience that I called my salvation experience for decades. And it was a cathartic experience. It was a cleansing. It was magnificent. But I was still the same person. I had the same problems. I had the same needs, wants, desires. My friend, there's more to the story, and I am birthing a race of lovers. Lovers who love love, who love each other, who understand the story or not, begin to see the call that God gave Abraham. Abraham, get your stuff together. Get up. Go to a new land. Can't you just imagine the story? Abraham saying, Where do you want me to go, God? To a land I will show you as you go. Because you see, this is the land I will show you, the promised land. The promised land is inside you. You can't get there by conventional means. You don't buy a ticket. It's not by plane, train, or car. It's not dimensioned like you think it is. Or is it dimensionless? Timeless? And yet you still have a unique identity, a distinctive form? Or will you be formless? Or are you no longer forming man in your own image? Or are you forming God in your image, thinking it's an entity that looks like you, male or female? I suggest to you it is not heretical to ask the hard questions. In fact, it's essential. It's absolutely essential. It's essential that you begin your own research and not just assume some canonized book you think is inerrant. Oh, give me a break. The angels that fell. I suggest to you, if you want to see one of the original angels that fell from heaven, because they wanted to think with their own mind. They wanted to have free will. Free will to create anything they wanted to in whatever image they wanted to image to each other. They wanted to control, dominate. And if they wanted to damn each other and be brutal, they could. You want to look at one? Find the closest mirror. Earth used to be the planet of the angels. It was just one of many. You don't have to take my word for it. Whatever you call God, if the God you seek is what I call love, original source energy, not that which demands that you serve it. You're giving your life to what you imagine demands your worship, demands your obedience, banishes you to some kind of eternal darkness, flames of hell if you don't meet my criteria, my friend, I suggest you're serving the wrong God. You see, that God poses as light. It poses as love. And it uses all the same words, the same lexicon, the same diction and grammar, because it duplicates love, but it doesn't have love as its motive, but control. That which controls you is not of Christ. That's why Christianity and Christ are going two separate ways. And I don't mean later, I mean now. Because I'm birthed. I'm me. I'm flesh on this earth, and I am my message. My word birthed me. Or am I birthing my word? Am I creating me, or did the Creator create me? Or is my breath creating me? Or is the breath of my creation me creating the Creator again to be me and the new creation of me? Do you see it's a new paradigm of power? Requires leadership. And there is always inherent risk. Risk. Oh my gosh, there's a risk. You may lose your life. You may lose your house. You may lose your reputation. You may lose your soul. My friend, there's a life beyond the idea of the soul. I suggest to you, the soul marries you to magnetic earth. The soul is the jive of mankind's beat. I ask you to let not your soul control you in any manner, shape, fashion, or form. Don't try to save it. In fact, eradicate that thing. I suggest to you, there's light of love. Love that is a nurturing. I will never leave you or forsake you. The story of the prodigal coming back. The story of the birth. The story of Mary. The angel appearing. I'm sharing with you. Have the baby. Refuse. Not the angel telling you you're about to have a child. Are you willing to become pregnant? Not with flesh, but pregnant with word. What word? This word. Word of light. Word of love. That you rebirth yourself. That as you begin to listen to God, no, listen to love. Listen to love. That light that says, I will never leave you or forsake you. The new covenant, the covenant. The new covenant, the new and everlasting covenant, is the promise of creation for the Creator to recreate itself, to recreate you, a race of one mind, beings of intangible light, intangible energy that sometimes appear in flesh, looking kind of like you. The new birth is the birth of new you in the paradigm of power that loves love more than power, but no longer shirks the power of privilege nor the privilege of power operating in love. Not brutality, not to conquer a people, but to free them. Am I Moses? I bet you are. No, you're Esther. Remember yesterday? I spoke of Esther yesterday, didn't I? And Noah. You're Gabriel. You're announcing the birth of Christ. Or will you announce it to you? Are you willing to be of the one mind? The consciousness of God, that you are God, that you are powerful, that if you believe in me, you will do the things I do because we operate in the same mind without the limitation, because we are changing the genetics of Christ to no longer be the Antichrist. The Antichrist is simply Christ who is fooled into being separate. The Antichrist is bruised and uses brutality because it's not all it knows, but it chooses to be separate. The Antichrist is simply Christ in the wrong clothes, not. Because the Antichrist appears as Christ, and we have worshipped it. I have worshipped it. For years and years, I was puzzled with a great dilemma. I didn't understand the brutality of so many stories in the Bible. Slaughter of men, women, children, cattle. Devastation. Suffering. You see, just to say God is God and God is one is insufficient. What I call God of love, God of the new birth, God that says, I will write, in so many Bibles it says, I will write my law upon your mind, of your heart. But see, it's not law. It's not driven. The Spirit of love will not drive you into your desert. That is the Antichrist. In my school, I have a school. I have a school for people not that want to believe. I have a school for people who want to become. Become what? Become the Christ in your shoes. The Christ, not Christian of, but love. Who will create their covenant. Will you create your covenant? I created mine. I didn't know this till I was in the creation of my covenant, because I was taught. I learned by the things that I taught. I learned by the things that I spoke. I'd record like this for 10, 20, 30 minutes or an hour. So surrenderedly that in one sense, I had the consciousness of a car or a weed eater or a siren going by. But yet the flow of what was coming through my mouth was not diminished by it. So in one sense, to try to explain the flow of energy, I was not engineering the algorithm. I was not engineering this word, this word, this word, this word, this word with certain inflection to try to make a certain point a certain way, because the energy of God is not ruled. You don't use the energy of what I'm speaking about. The energy of love, you do not use. And anybody that wants to use it, they're going to be pretty disappointed. They'll be deceived. They want to tap into it. And you have power. You have the power to believe. And you can manifest great things with your power. There are a lot of people that go around talking about spirit guides, talking about your power to manifest. You're on top. Do your thing. But the end of all that is still death. I'm talking about a new race that never dies again. Resurrection before you die. Because you genetically engineer it, not you genetically create the growth of it. The new birth is something that births the new you. I cannot birth you. You must, because you are the judge. There's no great white throne judgment. There's no big time judgment at the end that you're going to stand before a God of wrath to see if you kept the rules, if you were good. Were you good this year? Well, if you were good, okay, enter. No, you weren't so good, okay, hell. You weren't so good, heaven. No, my friend. There's so much more to the story. The story of beauty, the story of grace, peace, and marriage to the one. The one, the collective. The collective what? The collective mind of what in the past I called the God of love. The God of love. God. The race of the collective beauty of one consciousness. Who love each other. Who create worlds. Who operate in the cosmos. They're waiting for us. And many are waiting on you. But you can believe what you want. You can go to church. You can study your Bible. You can think Israel is in the Mideast. You can think the Redeemer will come back and set up his kingdom for 1,000 years before he lets Satan loose again. You can think God is a male. You can think anything you want to think. The Antichrist doesn't care what you think, baby. The Antichrist mind only wants to keep you in contempt of the Christ, in contempt of you in your court to judge the Christ separate. And as long as you think Christ is separate, as long as you think the anointed Messiah is separate, as long as you think you're born again, as long as you keep in turmoil, as long as you're upset about politics and the world situation, you're creating it. And you're serving a lie. And my name is Theodore Cottingham. I'm a woman. I dressed as a woman for a while. I've never hidden it. There are multiple recordings. You probably find some of the photos not that many years ago. Because I began to learn. And learning from what I called God directly. Over time, writing the first person words of God for 21 years. Surrendering to not edit, but flow this energy, not looking for some spiritual guide. I did not want a guide. There are many, many, many spirits who, if you let, will talk to you, communicate with you, give you words, give you guidance, and you can corroborate them. You can feel good about yourself, and many people do, and make many millions doing it. But I suggest to you, there's only one God? No. Ad infinitum. But there's only one love, and that love is a collective mind. It's a collective that's intangible, not limited to the molecular, waiting on us to birth ourselves into that which does not limit us from being that which does not limit them from being us. So the new birth is about to take place in millions of people who birth the reality of the intangible them, no longer worshiping a Holy Spirit that's separate, no longer worshiping Christ, an anointed Messiah to come, but saying surrenderedly, here I am, teach me. And let love teach, and question everything. Do your homework, do your research. See what comes forth from your lips when you're willing to speak surrenderedly, uneditingly. And don't be afraid of a stray word, a stray sentence. How do I know these things? Why do I say some of these words? Some of these words, so many of the words I speak to you have been spoken to me, spoken through me. And that which was spoken through me, I realized was being spoken to me to teach. I suggest the same will happen to you, because the feminine nature of love is to reproduce. The seed is not molecular. We will quit reproducing molecular seed. The molecular race, defined by the way we have thought of it, taught of it, and lived it, will no longer keep us, me, you, from being who we are, because we are coming back to operate in the original temple, no longer looking for a third temple to be built with molecules. The temple not made with hands is right here. I offer you the idea that this thing mounted on our shoulders, tantamount, may be a picture of the second temple. The glory of the second temple didn't compare with the original. Read about the glory of the first temple, the mind. The kingdom of God does not exist in a house made with hands. The kingdom of heaven is inside of you, and that's your promised land. And that's the land, the reality. And it's real, and it's tangible, but not in the way that we think at the moment, because we are limited molecularly to this kind of sub-reality. But your ability to create, to have a baby, are you willing to have a baby? Are you willing to birth truth? Well, is truth tangible? Maybe the tangible truth is you after you birth it. I and my Father are one. Remember John 14, I think it's 14:20. Jesus said, well, it may not be verbatim, I am in the Father, and the Father is in me, and you are in me. Our minds are still interconnected, inextricably connected, even though we fell. We experienced the fall of man, woman. Even though we think we're separate and so limited. and defined by all these other things. I suggest to you, all the definitions of religion fail now. And the mind of Christ will not be superimposed by the mind of religion to control it. Leadership is required. There's risk. And it's been the road less traveled, but my friend, that is no longer the way. The way to truth is not narrow, and there be few that find it. Truth opens up the gates and says to every human being and every entity of the sentience of the true real, farther than we can imagine at this moment. I'm still here. I will still talk with you. I will communicate with you if you let me speak. But how do I speak? You're still looking for a redeemer. Think it not robbery to be equal with God. Think it not robbery to question all these things that you've taught and all the things that have been taught to you. We're coming now to birth a new race. I am pregnant and I am birthing me. I may look like a man, but inside my heart is the feminine, divine, dedicated, devoted, follower no more to another man's law or lie. I am birthing me. And this is the new birth. Because I have a womb. Spirit is not bound by duality or binary gender. Don't limit God. Don't limit God to male or female. Don't limit God. But learn who God is. Question your God. Question the motive of the heart of what you have served and prayed to. When you love, love. When you're willing to lay down the hold that's had you in its vice grip of this earth, the magnetics of this world, the eloquence of speech, the credibility of some Bible. When you're ready to look inside, look to your own authority and begin to release your authority to be you. When you begin to release your authority to be the real you and look inside, you begin to question things. You begin to grow up. You begin to mature and be no more led by the hand by someone else because you're so blind. You're responsible for you. And if you decide you want to believe things that lead you to death, I suggest to you, listen well. When you die at the end of your life, if you think you're going to meet God who judges you, I can show you the face of the God you will meet. Go look in your mirror. At the end of that tunnel of light, on that imagined throne, the throne of God, the throne of Almighty God, maker of all creation, heaven and earth, put planets into space. Yep. That was you. That was us. And we are coming back. We are beginning to birth ourselves anew. to create a new earth. A new heaven and a new earth. Heaven is between your ears, friend. And when heaven begins to be birthed between your ears, the resultant force of love comes through every capillary, comes through your epidermis. Are you willing to no more be limited by muscles, sinew, liquid blood, red blood? If you walk the path of truth that I'm talking about, many people will try to pierce your side. And if you don't look out, they'll hurt you terribly with words, spears, guns, bombs, knives, threats to keep you in turmoil, anything to keep you off the path. Path of what? The path for you to be the messenger. Gabriel, be the messenger. Are you willing to go to Mary? Will you go to the one in your mirror and say, are you willing to have the child? Are you willing to have a baby? The baby that it's in fact you. The new creation of you, see? See, this is the plan. There's a cycle. You are the creator. You think you're created? Okay. But that doesn't defeat your ability to create. And you determine whether you're subject to all that you have studied and the way you have lived your life, or the things that I'm talking about, the things in my covenant, the first 2,400 lessons that begin. They don't begin out the box, because there's a maturing process. Are you willing to go to a land that I will show you as you go? Is that Theodore speaking, or is that God speaking to you? Or is that love? Are you willing to birth love? Are you willing to birth a new you? Are you willing to record and write essays, papers? Are you willing to meet people across this land using technology like this until we meet? Meet where? Meet in the heavens? Meet in the skies? Meet in Tulsa? Meet in your city? Are you willing to finally stand up and quit thinking you're a woman and you don't have the right to do such and such? My friend, you have the power to hang planets in space. And you think you're subject to a bunch of little yappers running around yapping, trying to put your body under theirs to populate the earth, to stay here in hell. You see, that's only the ignorant. The law of lies is very strong. It's magnetic. And there's a great magnetic pull. But I tell you, the magnetic shields are coming down. And the electric world of your electricity is no longer needed for the race that we are birthing. No longer wears your lie to say we worship God. Well, here I'm again. I love you all. My name is Theodore Cottingham. I'm responsible for this message. And I pray for you to pick up your pen. I'm not praying to God. I'm praying to you. Entreat, implore, I encourage, I suggest, I request you to pick up your pen and write me. If you want to write me, you can write me. My mailing address is still Box 34 in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, USA for the moment. But I may be in your city soon. I don't know where I'll be. Or will I be in you? Or will I be the truth serving me no more to be separate? Are you willing to release the paradigm of powerlessness? The paradigm of waiting on God, waiting on another. I'm asking you to see your own authority. See who you really are. And quit cursing you. And quit barring you from the temple not made with hands. Quit saying you're not worthy. Just stop it. Think a new thought. Begin to think with love. This language of energy. What else do we call it? This essence of pure love light. Begin to think with it. Begin to woo it. Woo the truth like you would woo a lover. Turn your face away, not completely from the molecular world, but let not the molecular world rule you anymore. In your holy place, your mind. Woo. Entreat. I bought a nice chalice. It was beautiful to me. Pewter, lovely. Bought a nice tray. I started buying grape juice at the time. Just grape juice. Loaves of bread. I put it on my desk. And sometimes when I got up at 2 a.m., what I called back then to meet with God, I'd have communion. That's what we call it then, communion. Call it Eucharist, call it whatever. Call it the table of one. When I first started doing this, it was always, yes, the symbol of his broken body and his shed blood. But now, that third person separation is long gone. This is about your body and blood. And I've taken communion more than once. I no longer need grape juice. Happy to do it with wine, bourbon, coffee. I'm happy to enjoy what I have at the moment as a symbol. I don't have any bread here, but in one sense, you see, the story is vast and it's no longer incomprehensible. It's no longer a mystery. I suggest you in the Last Supper, I suggest you, if there's any accuracy to that story, it's reported, it's interpreted wrongly, like almost all of them. There's a difference needed in perception and how we interpret things. I suggest Jesus took the bread and wine, not to say he anything. I suggest to you, he took the bread and broke it and didn't say, this is my body broken for you. No, this is your body. You are my body and blood. You, those disciples, you are my body and blood. Take the message. You are it. You are the molecular me. Be the message. Be the message of the intangible Christ. I go now. Limit me not to the molecular person you think you're looking at. Be the truth, the intangible truth, the truth that changes a nation, because you're no longer powerless. Heal the children. Heal you. Heal your parents. Keep your word. Be punctual. Careful what you sign. Recognize your own authority. Your own authority. Your authority to be the king. The King of Kings. What does the King of Kings do? King the kings. What does the Christ do? Christ, the Christ. You grow it. The intangible truth will no longer be led by a molecular lie. And all the people who assert that they have authority over you and that you must follow them, I suggest you find your exit. Whether it's a church, a political party, a marriage, there's no reason to be under the abuse of another. When the crown of light, the Holy of Holies, the holy place, the temple not made with hands, the palace of light is between your ears, and you are precious. And now we will learn to be precious in each other's sight, no longer abdicating the privilege to be who we really are. I love you all, and this is what I birth. This is my message. This is me, and I will not be tormented by you. And if this body ever does expire, my words will live. But I suggest when you become a new creation, you will again have the dew of your youth. And you will defeat death. And this is all about the real you. So yes, I am a man, I am a woman in breath, and I am pregnant. My voice is pregnant. My spirit is pregnant. My message is pregnant. And I'm about to give birth. And many will embrace this and become the tangible new creation of the promised people, the chosen race. And who are they? The original us before time began. The angels, who God was, who God is, whether you call it. There is no hierarchy in the kingdom of truth, love, and peace. None at all. My name is Theodore Cottingham, and I love you. I appreciate and express my gratitude and thankfulness for the privilege of sharing this time with you, sharing these words. To loose yours. To help empower you. To shed all the chains of all the words and all the magnetics of this world. To see your light, love, and peace, and walk down the aisle with you, so that your thought no longer separates you. You're no longer looking for another to come. You become the real you. the most humble of all, to walk in the power of pure love and light. Restoring heaven here, changing it all. This is my message, and I live it. And I wrote a book, Jesus the Pattern, 300 pages. And you can search my covenant. I speak often about my covenant. Database 1. There are many databases in it now, but database 1 is the foundation. It may seem like normal orthodox stuff, but those lessons will lead you not down the aisle of faith, not down the aisle of worship, but to a land you will see as you go. Theodore Cottingham, in love with you all. Be the real you. Birth a new nation, beginning with you. Love in your shoes, the Christ, no longer looking for another to come. Experience creating you anew. That's the new birth, with the new covenant that you create, with perfect love teaching you every day. Learn to record and teach, and be not afraid of your power, your might, your love, or your words. Good day. Thank you again. I love you.